everybody, welcome back to WTF Wednesday. So I've been getting a few people requesting me to do like a get ready with me while I talk about a case. So that's what I'm gonna do today. Without further ado, let's get into the video. To start off, this case takes place in Delphi, Indiana, and this took place in February of 2017. Libby and Abby were these super darling girls. They were, I think, in 7th grade. They were ages 13 and 14. On February 13th of that year, girls had what was called a built-in snow day. The state of Indiana has some pretty brutal winters, right? So what they did with their school years is they had these like built-in days in the winter that they knew that were typically going to be these freezing cold snow days. All the kids pretty much get to have a free day. It was Sunday and the girls were like, we don't have school tomorrow, let's have a sleepover. You guys remember at that age, it was like the coolest thing ever to be able to have a sleepover and hang out late on like a Sunday, right? The next morning, Abby and Libby really wanted to go to Monon High Bridge. They asked Libby's sister Kelsey if she would drive them there and drop them off. The plan was that Kelsey would drop the girls off and Libby's dad would swing by after work and pick them up. The girls were dropped off at this area at 1:07 p.m. 2:07 p.m. Abby posted a video on her Snapchat of Libby walking across the bridge. Essentially, it was kind of this like dramatic 14-year-old kind of video. Nothing out of the ordinary. That in this Snapchat video, there wasn't anybody else on the bridge. There wasn't really anybody around that could be seen in this video. I just wanted to mention that. At 3:11, Libby's dad called her to let him know that he was close and kind of just to make sure they were ready to be picked up. Libby didn't answer her phone. He tries again at 3:13 and there's still no answer. By this time, Libby's dad arrives to pick them up and he gets out of the car and basically kind of starts taking the same trail that the girls would have to walk over to the bridge and to see if he could find them. By 4 p.m., there was no luck and he was not seeing the girls anywhere. He was calling out to them. He kept trying to call Libby. So obviously by this time, he's starting to get alarmed. He begins calling Libby's grandparents, Abby's parents, saying, hey, have you heard from the girls? I mean, at this point, Abby's family, Libby's grandparents all drive down and they're all searching everywhere on this trail. At this point, it's 5:30 p.m. and there's still no sign of the girls anywhere. And now the families are extremely worried and have decided to contact the police. At this point, nobody really suspected foul play. It kind of was more thought that the girls were lost, right? Something that I really want to note is that after calling the police, I feel like in so many of these cases, you find that the police are so like, oh, well, they've been missing for an hour. What do you want us to do? That was not the case for these officers. There were Amber Alerts out. So many people from the community came to look for the girls, including, you know, the police. There was like a search party pretty much immediately. People were searching all through the night until finally it just got way too dark outside and it was decided to call off the search for the night. The search continued the next day and unfortunately by noon on that Tuesday, the girls' bodies were found. So the next day, autopsies were done and there was nothing really shared with the public at all about the girls. Like there was not a whole lot of information shared ever, really. It wasn't really announced to the public the cause of death or whether the girls were sexually assaulted, whether they thought foul play was involved, like nothing. Now, of course, because, you know, nothing was really shared with the public, there were so many rumors of what had happened. There were so many people saying, you know, the girls were sexually assaulted, there was blood everywhere, their throats had been slit. There were rumors saying that there was no blood, that they were fine. So I think because of the lack of information that was shared with the public, these rumors got out of hand pretty quickly. One of the most consistent rumors is that the girls had some kind of injury to their throats. The biggest reason for this rumor is that at the memorial service held for the girls, they both were wearing scarves around their necks. So finally, on Wednesday, February 22nd, there was a huge press conference held. So many people in the community were hoping that, okay, we're finally gonna get some answers. We're finally gonna get some detail. And unfortunately, this press conference didn't really give out, you know, that much information to the community. Like, I'm sure the police had their reasoning for why they were keeping so many details of this case to themselves. During this press conference, there was information brought forward. They were giving the community bits and pieces. There were so many holes and like so many questions by so many people that like weren't being answered. One of the things that they disclosed, there was a photograph on Libby's phone of a man. Not only was there a photo of a man, but there was video, I don't want to say video, there was audio of this man as well. There's so much speculation as to why Libby had turned her video on. Now, I kind of suspect is that these girls maybe had a feeling something was wrong when this man approached them and whatnot. I think Libby turned the video on her phone in her pocket on purpose. I think these girls were smart. For the most part, your phone camera video especially doesn't just turn on in your pocket. Now, the footage of this video was not released. However, there was one section of audio that was. Basically, the cops were kind of hoping at this point, we're gonna release some of this audio and this photograph, and they were hoping that by releasing this, somebody would recognize the person's voice and the face of this picture. The audio that was released, it's very short, 3 words. These 3 words were "down the hill." I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how anybody is supposed to recognize a voice, especially just a male voice saying "down the hill." And it's very quick, it's not "down the hill," it's like "down the hill." Like a fraction of a sentence he was saying. A lot of people were like, what are we supposed to do with this? So at this point, there's still really no breaks in the case. There's no people of interest. There's nothing. Like the police literally have nothing to go off of. It's now September 25th, and this is kind of where we get the first break in this case as far as a person of interest goes. How this kind of comes about is a man named Daniel Nations. Now I'm going to insert a picture of him here, and as you guys can see, photograph of Daniel Nations compared to the photograph taken on Libby's phone, like it's pretty freaking uncanny. So this man is kind of brought into the picture because he was arrested for having a hatchet, harassing people on hiking trails. This man actually has a pretty decent history in the Indiana area. In 2017, he is forced to register as a homeless sex offender. When you're registered as a homeless sex offender, it's a little bit different because you're obviously homeless, and because the state can't do like check-ins with you to your home, you're basically forced to check in with your officer because they don't know where you live, right? If you're homeless, there's not a way for them to basically keep tabs on you. So for some reason, after April, he stops doing his check-ins with his parole officer. And his parole officer also notices the uncanny resemblance. The police are able to kind of question him. Now, here's what's so frustrating. They have no real evidence on this guy other than he looks like the photograph, right? And because of this, there's really nothing the police can do. Just so frustrating. And so here we are, you guys, to this day, this Daniel Nations guy has still never really been, I mean, they weren't able to do anything. But the case remains cold. We still don't have any other details that have been released by the police. Like every case I talk about, they're just so heartbreaking and it's so awful. I mean, I just don't know how these parents have been able to keep it together. I mean, if you watch interviews and things with them, how they're keeping it together for their girls and staying strong for them is absolutely amazing. It's also obviously very heartbreaking. I just hope that in the near future, there's somehow, some way that we're able to get a break in this case. At some point, we are able to get justice for Libby and Abby. And of course, I'm gonna leave information down below if anybody knows anything, if you heard anything, or if you just wanna do research on this case, like, please do so. Thank you guys for all the love and support. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.